Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the Werewoof Reactions. My name is Wolfie, and today we're going to be doing the rest of the Q&A session. This is either going to be part 2 or part 1, depending on what order I upload these in. But this Q&A video is going to be all about the Sonic the Hedgehog related questions, considering I do a lot of Sonic stuff, which is mostly what my channel is centered around. This is basically all the Sonic questions on this video. So, I will get right to it. Let's go!
Shadow Basketball!
Who is your favorite Sonic character? Classic Sonic. If we're going just based on one character I had to select for everything, it would be Classic Sonic. That Sonic from the old Genesis era, I guess, would be Sonic Generations Classic Sonic. But that's my all-time favorite character. I've always been just like, Sonic is my all-time favorite character. He represents everything that made me fall in love with the series anyway. It's just this small blue hedgehog with an attitude, and you know, it's like, he didn't have to say anything. Really, what set him apart from all the other characters and mascots of that era was the fact that he had this attitude. It was the fact that if he sat there long enough, he was impatient, he tapped his foot. You know, this is before idle animations were kind of standard. Like, Sonic kind of set this precedence of like, wow, this character is different from the other ones. He's got attitude. Gnarly, dude. Totally rad. Because, you know, it was the early 90s. But, like, you know, it was really cool to see a character do that. It blew my mind. Like, so Classic Sonic, because obviously he's the main character. He's the reason I got into the series in the first place. I love the fact that he had this attitude, but he's always doing what's good for everyone. Always trying to help people. And, you know, when you think of like, it's basically like kind of like the jerk with a heart of gold kind of thing. But he's not really a jerk. He's just kind of impatient, I guess. But if we're talking about characters barring Sonic, I will say my top 3 would definitely be like Blaze, Knuckles, and Blaze, Knuckles, and I guess Tails. Like, Blaze, Knuckles, and Tails are like my favorites. I don't know, Knuckles just represented a lot of cool things to the series. A new rival character, he could glide, he could break through walls, go to new places that Sonic couldn't. And he was a very interesting and mysterious character. Kind of before they kind of took him down the idiot road in which he's always being, you know, tricked, and he's just constantly angry and, you know, punching things. And I guess he was always like that, but, you know, they kind of flanderized them. Say what you will about Knuckles, but at least he isn't Boom Knuckles. Now, that guy's an idiot. As far as Blaze is concerned, I really admire and love strong female leads or strong female characters in any media. Like, that's the reason Ghost in the Shell is one of my favorite animes of all time. Something about, because females usually, at least in the era I grew up in, were always portrayed as damsels in distress. They couldn't do anything. They're always getting kidnapped by bad guys, and the strong male lead had to come in and save them. But like, seeing something different and seeing like a female who's actually not only able to fight for herself, but can actually kick the ass of any character, including the main character, if they decide to step up to her, is just, it's so... But yeah, it's very telling when my favorite female characters in like media are like these strong, kind of like don't put up with shit type characters, like Kokonoe, the Major from Ghost in the Shell, Blaze, obviously, who we're talking about now, and it's just like Sally as well. That's another reason why she's one of my favorite non-canon Sonic characters. When I say non-canon, I mean to the games, not like actual media, but like just characters who are able to do things without having to have input from male characters. They can do their own thing, they can kick ass, they don't take shit from no one, they don't care, you know who you are, whether you're the big bad or the main character. They will whoop your ass up and down the street if you even like step up to them wrong. So Blaze, when she was first introduced, was this, she was essentially just a female Sonic, but with fire powers. But they kind of expanded on that, and she's kind of grown into her own character. She's just this aloofish princess of another dimension who's she does both Sonic and Knuckles' job at the same time, if you think about it. She protects the Soul Emeralds, and she's also able to do what Sonic does. Some would argue even better. So yeah, I really like Blaze a lot. So probably top 3 characters would be Classic Sonic, Knuckles, and Blaze. Not necessarily in that order, but I also like the original classics too, like Amy the Rascal and Tails, and of course Robotnik / Eggman, whatever you want to call him. But another character I really like that is like one of the unknown characters is Bark the Polar Bear. He's like one of my favorite forgotten characters. I really hope they bring him back someday. What is your favorite Sonic game? Now that much is obvious because I've said it so many times before, and I also have a playthrough of it on this channel. That is Sonic CD, my all-time favorite Sonic game of all time, hands down. There's no contest. It's just, I could gush about why I love Sonic CD so much, but I'll basically summarize it up for you guys. That was the first game I remember playing and thinking to myself, my god, this is a huge game, because unlike most Sonic games, and I get there's a reason there's a lot of hate for Sonic CD, like, a lot of people don't really like that game because it's not very speed run friendly. Like, you can't really blow through that game as fast as you'd want because there are a lot of levels designed that are kind of counterproductive to that, like Wacky Workbench, which is a hellish level if you just try to run through it. But like, for me, Sonic CD, the reason that game is good is because it kind of puts emphasis on exploration rather than just running through the game. For example, because you have to, in order to get the good ending, there's two ways to do it. You can collect all the Chaos Emeralds, or the Time Stones, I'm sorry, or you can go to the past, and break all the Robotnik, what are those things, machine generators, and also optional the Metal Sonic projectors. But if you go back to the past and destroy those machines, the future is saved. And for me, seeing a level and then going to the past version of that level, which is essentially the same level, but there's a lot of different, like, aesthetic things, like robots are old looking, a loop-de-loop may not even be there anymore because, you know, it's in the past before Eggman took over. I need to do a video of why I love Sonic CD so much, but there's just so much in there that I love. I could not cover it in less than like a minute. So, but yeah, everything, graphics, the music is my all-time favorite. Like, Sonic CD is just so good. Oh my god, I love that game. What do you think of Project 2017 and Sonic Mania? That one is easy. I'm very excited for Sonic Mania because I know for a fact that Christian Whitehead is going to make Sonic Mania amazing, and the fact that it's coming out pretty soon, I'm really excited for it. It's been a long time since we've had a classic Sonic game, so this is going to be my game for sure, because I'm one of those old guys that grew up when the Genesis was out. So you guys have had your modern games. It's time for me to get my classic game, for us old Sonic fans to have our Sonic game. Even there's a lot of new fans who started with like Heroes and Beyond and stuff like that who are interested in playing Sonic Mania. So, you know, it's very good to have this game, which looks like a game that Sega would have made if they had never stopped making 2D games on like the Saturn or something like that. But it looks really good. Sonic Mania is probably going to be my game of the year this year. Just because I'm that much of a nostalgia, I have that much of a nostalgia boner for like Sonic. Project 2017, on the other hand, and I know this is going to sound bad coming from me, considering I'm a huge Sonic fan, but I'm iffy on it. And I'm excited for the game, don't get me wrong. Like, of course I'm going to play that and buy it, like, day one. But for me, it's like 3D Sonics don't have a good, consistent history of having good games. It's always like, good game, bad game, kind of okay game. I mean, with Generations and Colors, those were good games. But then, right when I thought they were about to get consistent with it, they released Lost World. And Lost World wasn't necessarily a bad game. It was just, I felt about it. And the controls and the tube level designs didn't do anything for me. And I kind of felt like, why would they do this after they just, like, Generations and Colors worked? Why did they have to change it again? And it's just like, after that, I kind of lost it again. I was like, man, I just wanted a good 3D Sonic game on Wii U. And then Sonic Boom came out, and I know that's not Sonic Team. I know that was a different team, but still, it's just like the 3D Sonic games are just so inconsistent, and it drives me fucking up the wall that they do this all the time. And it's just like, if they would just not release these games and rush them out and actually focus on making them good, then we wouldn't have this problem. But I know it's from the same team. Sonic Project 2017 is going to be from the people who brought Generations and Colors. That gets my hopes up. But At the same time, I'm just cautiously optimistic. So I definitely know Mania is going to be good because Christian Whitehead's behind it, and it looks good. Project 2017, we have not seen any gameplay on it. We only have the trailer. So like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic until I see a new trailer with some gameplay in it, and I can kind of judge it and look at it and be like, okay, yeah, that looks good. I mean, I'm just gonna assume it's not Generations 2. They said it's not Generations 2, but it's got classic Sonic in there, and I'm assuming Sonic Boom Sonic is gonna also show up in that game as well. So I don't know what to think. I don't know. Project 2017, I'm also excited for, but just cautiously optimistic. Sonic Mania, yes. It's Project 2017. I will withhold judgment. What is the most disturbing Sonic thing you've seen? Oh, nothing disturbs me anymore. If you've been on the internet as long as I have, but like, yeah, I'm kind of desensitized to everything. Nothing disturbs me anymore. Who do you think is the least interesting, most boring character in the Sonic universe? That's a loaded question. Most boring. I don't necessarily think any character is boring. They're all interesting in their own rights. And okay, I know exactly. Man, this is a loaded question because no matter how I answer this, I'm gonna piss people off. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think Amy Rose is the most boring character in the Sonic universe. Here it comes. Here comes the hate. But seriously though, allow me to elaborate before. Okay, I know. Hang on. Hang on. Let me explain. Just let me explain. Just please let me explain. So, I'm not talking about Rosie the Rascal. I'm not talking about Sonic Boom Amy. Both of those characters are interesting in their own rights. Amy the Rascal, or Rosie the Rascal rather, is just a young little girl that has a crush on Sonic. Simple enough. Sonic Boom Amy Rose, she's a different take on her, but she's got her own thing going on. She's also kind of falls into my strong independent woman thing that I have that I really enjoy, like I said earlier in the video. She's not necessarily reliant on other characters. She can do her own thing. That's fine. Amy Rose, however, her current incarnation, as she is in the Sonic games, is boring to me. The reason I find her very boring is because to me, she's a very one-note character. She's not developed at all. Like, in her initial appearance, at least this version of her in Sonic Adventure, she shows up as, of course, a girl that is in love with Sonic. That's fine. But as the games went on and on and on, I started finding myself just like, she's not changing at all. She's so one note, as in everything she does is all about Sonic. She has no reason to be in the story at all unless it's for Sonic. And I mean this, and I'll literally demonstrate it. What is it? Sonic Adventure 2. She shows up. I need to rescue Sonic. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. She has a purpose to be there. Even though Tails was going to rescue Sonic, I guess Amy did it for him. I don't know. She shows up, immediately gets in trouble. Can't fight Eggman. That may have been a bad written part there, but okay, whatever. Sonic Heroes. I have to find Sonic to force him to marry me? Though I guess she's also helping Cream and Big find their lost ones, but Cream and Big had more reason to be there than Amy did. Amy was just like, I need to find Sonic. Whatever. Okay. What was it? Sonic 06, she wants to find Sonic. She does help Elise later on in the story, but my point still stands. Every time she shows up, it's always just the one thing. Oh my god, it's Sonic! And Sonic's like, ugh, get away from me, Amy! And then he runs off, and it's just like, it's become this thing of every time she shows up in the games, it's the same thing over and over again. And it's just like, do you not have anything else to do in your life? You know, having a crush is fine, but just like, it drives me nuts that that's the only thing that she has going for her. And it's just, there's nothing there for me. And it's like, here she is. Sonic, will you marry me? No way, Amy. You're really gross. Why, you little? She pulls out the hammer and it's just begin chase scene. And it's like, okay. It's very much the same thing over and over again. That's why I think she's boring. She doesn't really have much going for her. At least in the comics, like, she still liked Sonic a lot, but she had different things going on. She had her own series of stories going on that she was doing different things, and she wasn't all Sonic, 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 you know, and it's just like, I don't know, that she bores me. But Amy the Rascal, she's fine. Sonic Boom's fine, because she's not completely obsessed with Sonic. She's able to do things without thinking, oh, I wonder where Sonic is. Oh, I should go find Sonic. If she happens to be around Sonic, then that's fine. She's happy. But if she's not, she can function. That's all I'm saying. Cue the counter arguments in 3, 2. What are your thoughts on the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comics? This right here, this heavy box is a box full of my comic books. And I will go ahead, open this thing, and showcase a little bit of my Sonic comic collection. It's kind of huge. Giggle. Let's see. Starting in reverse. So, it's funny. As a kid, I started off collecting the Sonic Archie comics when I was 6 years old. When my mom drove me to the bookstore when we used to live in Okinawa, Japan, on base, Kadena Air Force Base. She used to take me to the bookstore every month to find things to read. Of course, it didn't necessarily work out the way she thought, because I eventually found... let's see if I can find it. I found... There it is. I found this comic book. Sonic the Hedgehog. Look at this raggedy comic. Sonic the Hedgehog number 17. The first ever Sonic comic I ever owned. This is from 1990 something. I'll put the date up there. As you can see, very old, very crusty. This comic is barely held together. Like, it is falling apart. It's, oh god. Well, that didn't help. But yeah, you look on the back, it's like this totally, like, I started collecting comics with this one. As you can see, I was a dumb kid. I was a 6-year-old. I drew on it. I drew on it with pen. I highlighted the eyes with green highlighter for some reason. I don't know. I was a dumb 6-year-old. And I did it for all the pages for some reason. I really don't know what I was thinking. Just look at this. But yeah, I started with this comic book right here. And from there, it spiraled out of control into this massive collection that I now own. So I collected all these comics, as you can see in there. From like 17 all the way till, God knows, what number did we even stop at? I eventually stopped at this issue. Number 180 is when I officially stopped reading the comics. I think that was around the time I was transitioning from England to Missouri. And, yeah, I started losing interest because the writing got really bad. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, the Mobius 25 Years Later story arc was one of the worst comics I remember reading as a kid. And I was like, this is stupid. And then they had the audacity to ruin one of my favorite Sonic characters in the comics with this move. Yeah, that was bullshit. That pissed me off. I stopped reading after that. I was like a teenager at that point too, so like, forgive me for a little teen angst. But yeah, I love the classic Sonic comics, like 1 to 50 before they killed off Robotnik. Spoiler alert, for like, God knows, 10, 20 years worth of story right there. But yeah, I love the Sonic Archie comics. I haven't read them in years, but I hear they're really good, and I hear they're also ending. That's pretty sad, considering the Sonic comics have the longest running license, I believe, at the moment, at the time of this recording. So if it is officially over, they had a good run. But yeah, can you show me your Sonic collection? Mine is pretty good so far. Yes? I could show you my collection, but I'd have to fish it all out my closet, and they're all packed in boxes. But it's a ridiculous amount, trust me. I got plushes, I got toys, I got the Sonic X toys, I got the comics as you just saw, I got old like McDonald's Sonic 3 toys, I got so much Sonic garbage, and the games, and it's like too much. I can't fish it all out for this. I'd have to do a separate video on that another time. Someone remind me in the comments to do a collection video sometime. I'll like to break it out eventually. Just not now. Imagine how Sonic and Tails met, then tell us your version of the events. It will be interesting to hear your opinion. Please, yeah! Oh, of course, no problem, no problem. It was a breezy autumn afternoon at the school called Green Hill Elementary School, and all of the kids were on the playground, playing with their friends and family. Everyone was having a great time, all except for one, Tailsco, the vixen. Tailsco was a female orange fox with blue eyes, tail-length hair, rouge-like breast, white muzzle and inner fur, red lipstick, purple eyeshadow, female figure, red shoes, and 2 fluffy tails. She was sitting alone on the bench of the playground watching the other kids play together. She wanted to play with... Oh, what? Oh, you wanted my events. Oh, you didn't want to. Oh, you didn't want a fanfic reading. Of course, right. Oh boy. I don't know. I always liked the idea of Tails running into Sonic during one of his adventures, and then Sonic being like, "Yeah, hey, you got 2 tails," and then Tails is like, "Wow, can I follow you because you're so cool?" And Sonic's like, "No way, man. You're not fast." I'll probably come up with something later. I can't think of something off the top of my head right now. Something that would be good at least. Which Sonic Boom episodes would you fix, and how would you fix them? I'll say Buster, and the way you could fix that episode is instead of having it be this barfy robotic dog, maybe have it be... I don't know, keep it a robotic dog, but skip the barfing. Maybe just have it be... I don't know, maybe too clingy or something like that. Make the dog likable, not this robotic abomination that barfs. So, make the dog not barf, I guess, would be one of my big fixes for Buster. I guess maybe explain better what the heck the bone thing, that metal thing that Eggman gave Buster that made him turn into the big squid thingy. Explain that better, because I remember that was an issue I had. There was a weird part where Orbot and Cubot were wearing Sonic and Tails masks for no reason while they were robbing a bank, and I have to do everything wrong with that episode. Everything wrong with Buster episode video, because there's some issues with that one. What got you excited for Sonic? I would probably say Sonic Sat AM did that for me when I was younger. Watching that show and being like, there's a lot of story here, kind of got me interested in the idea of making more stories for Sonic, and like always imagining up new ideas like, wow, there's this really open, rich world full of like possibilities for Sonic to do now that Sat AM has opened up my childish mind. Rather than just being Stop Eggman, there's a little bit more that you could do with it. At least Sonic Sat AM introduced me to that concept. And the comics kind of were like my continuation of the show after the show got canceled when I was younger. So, the comics and probably Sonic Sat AM. Did you pre-order your Sonic Mania Collector's Edition yet? I sure did. It's coming in on PC from Amazon. Who is your favorite Sonic Boom character? Why, BD Platypus, of course. I'll probably just say Styx, because honestly, the other Sonic characters are more or less their game counterparts, but with like a little bit more personality to them a little bit. But like Styx actually feels like a brand, of course she's a brand new character actually made for Boom, but like she feels more like, I would have actually liked to see the whole cast rather be brand new characters rather than just kind of stretched out versions of the Sonic characters. Like Styx to me is she's the mascot for Boom, because Sonic as himself with more sports tape and being slightly taller and having a more egotistical ego doesn't really stand out to me as much as Styx does. Styx kind of represents what Sonic Boom is to me, and I'm kind of glad she showed up as the representative of the Sonic Boom franchise in Mario and Sonic at the Rio Olympics, I think it was. But yeah, I'd say Styx, even though she hasn't had my favorite episodes, she has potential. She could potentially be one of my favorite characters. Just because I know I like her design. I like her voice, took some getting used to. She just needs a good episode or two, and I honestly think she could be like a standout spin-off character that they could do a whole bunch of stuff with. But they've kind of yet to do that with me. If not one of the main cast, I'd probably say Sora the Eagle. Or Zoe. I mean, she doesn't really say much or do much, but I kind of like her design. Who is best, Sonic or Mario? Come on, man, that's a loaded question too, but obviously I'm gonna say Sonic. You know, Sonic and Mario are good in their own rights. They're both good in their own respective platforms, but I've always been more of a Sonic fan than a Mario fan, so Sonic on my end. What is your favorite Sonic Boom characters? Styx, Sword of the Eagle, and Zoe. Do you think Jaleel White will voice classic Sonic in Project 2017? I doubt that. I would like it, but I doubt it. I think they're probably just going to have him be silent again. I mean, they were initially thinking of using Jaleel White in Generations. You know, I'm kind of glad they didn't. I mean, I love Jaleel White. He is the voice... Oh, excuse me. He is the voice of my classic Sonic, like my era of Sonic. But I kind of like the silent protagonist like classic Sonic. He seemed to exude more emotion that way because he couldn't talk, so he had to use a lot more exaggerated like motions, you know, crossing his arms or, you know, making facial expressions to kind of show what he was thinking. So I've kind of grown to like silent classic Sonic. But if anybody had to do the voice of classic Sonic, I would want it to be Jaleel White. Do I think he will? Realistically, probably not. Do I hope he will? Do I hope he will? Am I hoping he will? Yes. Yes, I am. If not, keep him silent. Either way is fine by me. Wolfie, who do you think is the weakest and strongest character in the Sonic franchise? Weakest, huh? That's hard because, I mean, all the characters have shown strengths in something, so I'll probably say Charmy the Bee is probably the weakest character. I will say the strongest character. This is a trick question because a lot of people would automatically think Silver or Shadow, right? Or post-generation Sonic, in which he was bodying all the bosses and gods without even going into super form. But we forget about the God Slayer, the World Destroyer herself, Cream the Rabbit. She can solo things with a Chow. And, need we forget, she has the most powerful robot in existence. Geomerl. She still got him at the end of Sonic Advance 3. And he's reprogrammed to serve her, or be her friend, whatever. So potentially Cream hasn't the most powerful Chow, and the most powerful robot. So I fear for anybody who decides to attack the Cream House. Oh my god, that sounded dirty. If we're barring Cream the Rabbit, I would probably say there's different types of strengths. Are you talking physical strength? Are you talking mental strength? There's different type, but in general, I just say Cream or post-generation Sonic because he can beat anybody without going into super form. He only needed to go super to defeat the Time Eater, which in itself, I guess, required him to be super because how are you supposed to run through time? Unless, of course, you're Sonic CD, the best Sonic game ever made. Oh man, I can tie this back in all the time. Close second or third being Silver or Shadow. Take your pick. What's your favorite Sonic-related song? Are you talking with lyrics or without lyrics? Because if we're talking without lyrics, the whole soundtrack of Sonic CD, whether American or Japanese, is my all-time favorite Sonic soundtrack. As far as songs of lyrics go, I have an affinity for Sonic Boom from Sonic CD. I'm so Sonic CD biased. If we're counting outside of Sonic CD, I will say Living in the City from Sonic R. Wow, that took a long time to think about that, really. I was going through all the Sonic songs in my head. Living in the City is one of my favorites. I like the Sonic R soundtrack in general. A lot of people are like iffy on it. Either you like it or you hate it. I mean, either you hate it or you like it. I like it a lot. I love it, actually. But, it's just so 90s cheese. I love it so much. I know what you guys are thinking. Will you just say a modern Sonic song? Open Your Heart. I've really come to like Open Your Heart a lot more than Live and Learn. Live and Learn is the Sonic song of the modern era, but Open Your Heart, I guess I've heard Live and Learn so much, but Open Your Heart still holds a special place in my heart. When did you encounter your first ever Sonic game? This is also a long story, but I'll go ahead and keep it short and summarize it. A long time ago when I was living in Okinawa, Japan, little young Wolfie, about the age of 5 or 4, came across a game system at his mom's friend's house. Why am I talking about myself in the third person? I don't know. But I played an NES, which had Mario and Duck Hunt on it, at my mom's friend's house. At that point, that was my first introduction to video games. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. I want one of these for my house. Cue about a year and a half later, went to another one of Mom's friends, and I stayed at that house, and they had a Sega Genesis. And I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1 for the very first time, and my little childhood mind just fucking exploded with like, what the fuck is this? This is incredible. The colors, the speed, the music. I had to have it. And I kept, bugging. What the hell is that? And I kept bugging and bugging my parents until eventually I got my own Sega Genesis and Sonic 2 packed in with ToeJam and Earl Panic on Funkatron, which was a mail-in deal. I got all those games for my Sega Genesis, and I never looked back. That's how I got into Sonic. And then the Sonic Sat AM TV show happened. I remember seeing that on the TV for the first time, and again, my little childhood man was like, what the freak? He's on TV too? And I was like, and I watched it and I was like, this is incredible. It's got story to it. And then I went to the store in Okinawa, Japan, and boom, Sonic the Hedgehog freaking Archie comics. And I was like, there was so much Sonic stuff for me to get into that I just became a fan. So that's pretty much how I got into the Sonic fandom. It was all a series of events. Like, people, like, some force of nature kept pushing Sonic stuff in my childhood view, and my little 6-year-old mind was just like, there's Sonic over there, there's Sonic over there, and it's just, I just had a non-stop, access to all this stuff, so I just kept going into it, and here I am. Do you like Sonic Boom or no? Because I do. I like Sonic Boom. I like the TV show, obviously, more than the game. I played Rise of Lyric. I sure did, and I beat it. I beat that game. Not a fan of the games, but the TV show is alright. What is your favorite member of the Chaotix? Vector. Vector is my favorite. I like pre-Sonic Heroes Vector, not post-Sonic Heroes Vector. I like the slim, like, 90s wearing, like, headgear, Walkman wearing Vector the Crocodile. That was my favorite. If we're talking about the new Chaotix, then probably still Vector, despite his god-awful voice. Find the computer room! Do you watch As Sonic Heroes by Sonic Song 182? Nope, never seen it, but I have seen thumbnails of it. Looks like it's hand-drawn, looks pretty cool. Who's your favorite voice actor for Sonic? Jaleel White, Ryan Drummond, Jason Griffith, or Roger Craig Smith? Another loaded question. You guys are coming at me with these loaded questions, as in if I answer this, I'm gonna piss someone off. Jason Griffith was probably my favorite, and I know he gets a lot of hate for his initial performance with Sonic. When he did a lot of the okay, now we're talking. He had a lot of that going on, but as he got further into the series, I think he started actually improving. Like, Unleashed is still one of my favorite, like, Sonic vocal performances, and he apparently did that when he was 6. So I don't know. I think Jason Griffith gets a lot of crap, but he didn't really have time to really get into the role. He took a while, but when he did get into it, I think he was pretty good. What else? I still haven't fully embraced Roger Craig Smith yet. He just sounds different, but I've accepted him. I just haven't liked any of his performances yet. Jaleel White is a classic. That is, of course, my classic Sonic, and Ryan Drummond was good, but I also feel he's a little bit overrated, in which some of his line delivery could be a little hammy too, like, yeah, we're Sonic Heroes, and again, it depends on the games and the performances, but overall, Jason Griffith, to me, especially if you listen to him in the first episode of Sonic X, I thought he did really good there too. How do you feel about Son Amy and Sonic Boom now? Oh, if the other questions were loaded, this one is a fully loaded shotgun pointed point blank at my face right here, just right there. I don't like Son Amy. I'll be 100% honest. If you remember what I said earlier in the video about me not liking Amy Rose in general because of her constant obsession with Sonic, I don't like that pairing a lot. Like, I've never really cared for it. Even when I was younger, when I used to do shipping, but like, to this day, I don't really care for that pairing. Son, Amy, and Boom is alright, I guess, because who else is he gonna hook up with? And plus, Amy is an obsessive stalker in Boom. As far as game canon goes, nah. I don't think Sonic should be with anybody, I'm gonna be honest about it. Let him be a free man, because clearly he wants to be single. That's what I'm saying. If you're asking younger me, when I was like 10 or a teenager, I would say, and this is gonna heat a lot of people up, I like Sonic and Sally together. That was my official pairing when I was younger. Like, I grew up with that. That was in the comics, it was on the TV show, it was never in the games, but still, like, I always thought they would have made a good couple, despite the whole everybody, oh, they're different species and all that crap. But yeah, I don't know, the personalities seemed to mend well. Like, Sonic was a hothead, she was a cool-headed thinker, she was able to, they complemented each other's strengths, and she was able to focus and do what she needed to do without having Sonic around all the time. And to me, it was just a better pairing. I don't know, I don't really ship people anymore. I'm a little old for that now, so. But do I like Son, Amy, and Sonic Boom now? Yeah, sure. Do I like it normally? No. Not really. Hell, I think Blaze would be a better pairing for Sonic at this point. At least she wouldn't stalk him and obsess over him and make his life a living hell. What kind of other things would you like to see in Sonic Project 2017? I would love to have this be like the celebration of all Sonics, like from all the medias. I want Sonic from Sonic Z-AM. I want Classic Sonic, even though they're the same character. I want Sonic Underground Sonic. I want Sonic X Sonic. I want Boom Sonic, Comic Sonic. There's all the Sonics. Bring them all in. Have them all be like their different art styles and everything. And it just be like, you remember the Turtles Forever, like the Ninja Turtle movie, the animated one, where they brought in all the Ninja Turtles from the different like medias and dimensions. They had like the comic turtles, they had the classic ones, they had the 2012 or not 2012, the 2004 cartoon versions, they had the new versions, and it's like they had them all combined to take on like different Shredders. That's what I want for this game, but it's probably not gonna happen. But that would be really cool if they did that, and like all the Sonics mentioned, like, you know, have their own little cameos and Easter eggs and stuff like that. They'll be like, wow, your green Sonic looks a lot like Manic. He's not Manic, he's Scourge, you know? Stuff like that would be really cool, but that would be a licensing nightmare, and I don't think they would want to put that much effort in. But I would be, I'd be excited for that. What do you think of Sonic Chronicles? Oh, God. No. I don't like it. Not at all. It is responsible single-handedly for one of the worst Sonic soundtracks ever. The touchscreen controls were forced. There was no way to control it other than using the touchscreen. It was hardly an RPG, if you can call it that. There were no real NPCs to talk with. Villages to explore were non-existent. It was all static images in which you interacted with by touching everything. The artwork was subpar. The sound effects were god-awful and garbage. The story was nonsensical. It was basically somebody's fanfic written into real life. The characters were... The dialogue was alright, but that's probably the only thing that's alright in that game. Everything else was absolute garbage, pure garbage. And BioWare, or whatever B-team, janitorial team at BioWare that made that game, should be ashamed of themselves and issue a public apology to those of us who pre-ordered the game and played it like I did. I'm still very salty over that game. Still very salty. Seems like Sonic will never get a decent RPG now. What is your opinion on the #1 cringe Sonic fanbase? Are you talking about the Sonic fanbase in general, as in all of us being the #1 cringe fanbase? Or are you talking about fan bases within the Sonic community that are cringeworthy, like the Sonic diaper fetishists or the Sonic Chew stuff? Is that what you're talking about? You gotta be more specific on your question, because I don't know what you mean. Do you read the Sonic Archie comics? If so, what's your favorite issue? Do I? Let me just bring out my classic Sonic comic box and fish out one of my favorite Sonic comics. Let's see. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. It's probably a tie between these two right now. The first one is Sonic vs. Knuckles Battle Royale. This was the first of the many specials that started coming out. Like, I think they were like annual, but like this was one of my favorite stories, just to see Sonic and the Freedom Fighters against Knuckles and the Chaotix. To me, that was a really, really fun issue to read. It's very predictable, of course, nowadays, but back in the day, I loved that as a kid. And my second would be Sonic First, which is another super special, but this one was basically like all the old issues, the best of the old issues, reprinted in comic form. For example, this one had Sonic and Tails visiting Angel Island, as you can see there, and it was also, I believe, the first appearance of Knuckles, and it did follow like the games pretty much accurately, and it's really cool to see it. Like, and it had like the Genesis controller, stuff like that. It was like you were reading the video game. It was really, really cool to see that. If not that, then it would probably be the Endgame saga, which is the saga in which Sally Acorn, quote unquote, dies. And they finally go against Eggman for the final time, or Robotnik, and spoiler alert, they kill him. And finally, Mecha, what's it called? Mecha Madness, in which Sonic gets roboticized, becomes Mecha Sonic, and starts terrorizing Knothole Village, and then they get Knuckles and have him roboticized, but he's the good version, so it's Mecha Knuckles versus Mecha Sonic, and that was really cool. Again, predictable stories now, but really cool to read as a kid. Sonic Boom is planned to have other Sonic characters show up during Season 2. What Sonic characters would you like to see in a future Sonic Boom episode? I've got 3 characters I want. I want Blaze the Cat, please. I want Rouge the Bat, and maybe not necessarily this version of her, but I'm not complaining if it would be. It's not going to be this version. A fan made it, so... and third, Silver. I would like those 3, if you please. Or hell, the Chaotix would be awesome too. I would really like to see the Chaotix in Sonic Boom. I would like to see their renditions. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on what I'd like in Season 2, check out this video, which is in the annotation here. Click this annotation, and it will take you to what I wanted in Season 2 before Season 2 came out. It's a pretty good video, if I do say so myself. What got you into Sonic in the first place? See earlier in the video. Also, can you try to voice Shadow again? Oh boy. Hey, that's that blue hedgehog again, of all places. I found you! Faker! Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Ha! You're not even good enough to be my... I'll make you eat those words! Shadow performs for no one. Chaos Control! Chaos Blast! I can also do Shadow's voice from Sonic Boom. I put up with your questions long enough. Oh my god, that destroys my throat. Who is your favorite character in Sonic Boom? Sticks or Dave? Between those two, Sticks. Do you ship Son Amy? If you do, what are your reasons? I do not, as I said earlier in the video. And that's pretty much all for all the questions. I did it! Yeah! It only took an hour and something minutes, but I did it. Thanks everyone for the questions. You guys, seriously, like, I didn't expect this many questions when I did the Q&A thing, but seriously, thank you all so much for the questions. It was nice to elaborate a little more on my thoughts. If you have any questions also, if this video opened up more questions for you guys that you guys would like to ask me, whether it be personal, random, or Sonic related, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I might do another video, a part 3 if you will, if enough questions come in. If not, then this has been really fun. I really appreciate you guys coming in, even if you didn't ask questions, just to hear my answers to questions that you didn't ask. But in the meantime, guys, my name has been Wolfie. I will go ahead and have a teaspoon of honey because my voice is done after that shadow thing. I will see you all next time. Stay tuned.